mathematicians. Today we're going to be learning about fractions, more specifically about dividing fractions by whole numbers. To get us started, we have 1 over 2 divided by 3. So first, we're going to take a half and represent that using a model. So here we have a rectangle split up into 2 equal parts, and we're going to shade in one of those parts to represent 1 over 2. Now, we're going to divide by 3. So we're going to cut down vertically into 3 parts. So imagine you had a half of a chocolate bar, and you're dividing that half into 3 parts. Now that's not going to be 1/3 because 1/3 of the original chocolate bar would be much bigger. That would actually be 1/6 of the original chocolate bar because you only started off with half and you're breaking up half into 3 pieces. So in order to divide here by a whole number, we're going to look at the first column and see what's shaded, which is just 1. And now we have 6 parts, so our answer is 1 out of 6. Now, if we did not have our model, what we would do is take the 3 first and write it in fraction form. So we're just rewriting 1 over 2 divided by 3 as 1 over 2 divided by 3 over 1 because the 3 is now in fraction form. Then we're going to take the half and multiply it by the reciprocal of 3 over 1 in order to get our answer. So the reciprocal of 3 over 1 is 1 over 3 because we're taking the numerator and the denominator and flipping it. So now we just multiply normally. So numerator times numerator, 1 times 1 is equal to 1, and then multiply our denominators. And for our denominators, we have 2 times 3, which is equal to 6. So we ended up with the same answer. Now let's do another example. 3/4 divided by 5. So we're going to take a rectangle and split it up into 4 parts. We're going to shade in 3 of these 4 parts to represent 3/4. And then in order to divide by 5, we have to cut vertically into 5 equal parts. Then for our answer, we're going to take a look at the first column only. And here we have 3 shaded. And now our rectangle is out of 20 pieces, so our answer is 3 out of 20 because in our first column we have 3 shaded and now we have a total of 20 pieces. So if we didn't have our model, we would take 3/4 divided by 5 and rewrite it so that 5 is in fraction form. Then we would take 3/4 and multiply that by the reciprocal of 5 over 1. The reciprocal of 5 over 1 is 1 over 5. So we're taking the numerator and denominator and just flipping it. And then we just multiply normally. 3 times 1 is equal to 3. And for our denominators, we have 4 times 5 is equal to 20. So 3 over 4 divided by 5 is equal to 3 over 20. So let's do another example. So we have 2/3 divided by 4. First things first, we're going to represent the 2/3. Now, in order to represent the 2/3, we have to take a rectangle that's split up into 3 parts and shade in 2 out of 3 parts. And then in order to divide by 4, we're going to cut vertically into 4 parts. Now, to figure out what 2/3 divided by 4 is, we're going to look at our first column. And here, in our first column, we have 2 shaded parts, so that's our numerator. And now we have 12 parts in total, so it's 2 out of 12. Now, 2 over 12 can be simplified if we divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Our answer is 1 out of 6. Now, if we did not have our model, we would take this problem and make sure both numbers are in fraction form. So the 4, we rewrote it as 4 over 1. And then in order to get our quotient, we would take the 2/3 and multiply it by the reciprocal of 4/1, which is 1/4. Now, 2 times 1 is 2, and then for our denominator, we have 3 times 4, which is equal to 12. And again, we could simplify this fraction if we divided the numerator and the denominator by 2, and then we would get an answer of 1/6. Here we have 2/5 divided by 3. So first, let's represent 2/5. We have 5 equal parts. We're going to shade in 2 of these 5 equal parts to represent 2/5. In order to divide by 3, we're going to cut vertically into 3 equal parts. And then for our answer, we're going to look at the first column. And in our first column here, we have 2 shaded parts. And we have a total now of 15 pieces. So our answer is 2 out of 15. Now, if we didn't have our model, what we would do is we would make sure that both our numbers are in fraction form. So 2/5 divided by 3, we would rewrite it as 2/5 divided by 3/1. Now that both numbers are in fraction form, we're going to take the 2/5 and multiply it by the reciprocal of 3/1, which is 1/3. Now, we're going to now multiply normally. So our numerator times our numerator, 2 times 1 is equal to 2. And then our denominator times our denominator, 5 times 3 is equal to 15. And that's it. So that's it for dividing fractions by whole numbers.